You're gonna move into college one day, and once you unpack those boxes, wave your parents goodbye, and walk back into your room, it's gonna hit you. You are all alone. For some, this might sound like the greatest thing in the world, and for others, it might be a bit nerve-wracking. Nobody's gonna tell you when to wake up, when to go to class, when to study, when to eat, when to sleep, and in the process, you're gonna grow up faster than you ever have. And trust me, most of you are going to be fine. But just to make sure that you're on the right track, I'm gonna share with you some mistakes that you should avoid in college. Alright, mistake number 1, sticking to yourself. Many people say the value of college doesn't come from the classes you take or the degree you get, but the people you meet over the course of those 4 years. No matter what college you go to, you're gonna be surrounded by future superstars. Think scientists, entrepreneurs, politicians, thought leaders. And honestly, at no other point in your life are you gonna be within walking distance of so many brilliant people. Do not let that opportunity slip you by. On the one hand, yes, these are people who might give you a job referral one day or even become business partners. But on the other hand, and more importantly, many of these people are gonna become your lifelong friends. People you can go to for advice or support. When you first get to college, I want you to spend the first few weeks just putting yourself out there. Hang out in your dorm lounge, join clubs, even the ones that might make you a bit uncomfortable, and introduce yourself to as many freshmen as possible. Trust me that other freshmen also want to meet people as badly as you do, and it is not weird at all to just go up to someone random and say hello. And the best part about all of this that you really have to keep in mind is that nobody knows who you are. These other freshmen don't know how you talk, how you act, how you dress, so if you have ever wanted to transform yourself in some way, freshman year of college is the perfect time to do that. And I'm not saying that you need to disregard your values and become a drastically different person, but if you want to go from slightly introverted to more extroverted, or from skinny to ripped, or from lazy to studious, college is the time to do so. And the secret? Just fake it till you make it. I'm completely serious. Just go into college pretending to be the kind of person you want to become, and over time you'll find yourself naturally become that person. So just to give you a little example, and I'll be honest with you guys, in high school I was a little introverted. And when I entered college, I want you to guess one of the first things I did. I tried out for a dance team. Now I'll be honest, I was terrible at dancing, and that was a bit too far outside my comfort zone, so I did end up dropping it. But at the same time, I did join a bunch of other clubs. For example, I joined a business club, I joined student government, and I even joined a fraternity. But don't worry, MIT frats are nothing like what you see on TV. They tend to be pretty nerdy, and 60% of guys are in one. But over the first semester of my freshman year, I saw myself become more outgoing, and I even met some of my closest friends. And that's another point you have to take into consideration. People form their friend groups pretty quickly in college. I would say that within the first month or two, everyone's intermingling and trying to meet new people, but beyond that point, the people you're hanging out most with are most likely to become your friends for the rest of college. So that's why it's really important to meet many people during those first few weeks so you know who you genuinely get along with and don't really have to settle. Alright, mistake number 2, ignoring your health. Now I'm sure you've heard about the freshman 15, which refers to how college freshmen gain around 15 pounds, usually because of unhealthy eating habits. And honestly that makes sense, because in college you're no longer eating your mom's healthy and nutritious meals, but instead relegated to whatever mysteries they're chefing up in the college dining halls. And that reminds me, one time my brother sent me a picture of what he was eating in college, and it honestly didn't even look like food. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was something even crazier than pineapples on pizza. I think it might have been blueberries, but I'm not sure. Now thankfully, most colleges have at least one good dining hall. And so it's up to you to make sure that you're eating healthy and get all the nutrients you need. This means getting enough protein, greens, fruits, probiotics, water. Do not sleep on those probiotics. I would honestly recommend getting a cup of yogurt with breakfast each day. And by all means, please try to minimize the number of times you DoorDash or Uber Eats food. And I'll admit, I'm telling you this because I was pretty guilty of ordering food way too much in college. I remember one night, and this is gonna be so embarrassing, but I ordered food not once, but twice because I didn't like the first meal. But come spring semester of freshman year, I grew out of that, I started eating healthier, and I also started going to the gym. By the way, if you have never gone to the gym before, college is the perfect time to start. Because in high school, you really don't have the time to go to the gym. I mean, realistically speaking, who's gonna go through 8 hours of classes, do 2 hours of extracurriculars, come home, eat dinner, do homework, and then go to the gym? But chances are in college, your gym will be within walking distance, it's gonna be free, and you're not gonna have 8 hours of classes a day. So in my opinion, it's gonna be a lot easier to bake into your routine. Now, if you're just getting started, Google beginner workout routines and you'll find a bunch of different recs from experts. Personally, I followed and still follow a PPL routine, which stands for push, pull, legs. On push day, you're hitting your chest, shoulders, and triceps. On pull day, you're hitting your back and biceps. And on leg day, you're obviously hitting your legs. And no matter what routine you end up going for, be sure to up your protein consumption. You should at least get 0.5 to 0.8 grams of protein per pound of body weight each day. And some people say you should even go up to 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Start making protein shakes, start using a workout tracker, and those initial gains are gonna kick in pretty quickly. Alright, mistake number 3. This one might not make sense right away, but bear with me. Mistake number 3 is moving into college by yourself, which can be a pain. And I remember spending nearly 3 hours dragging my belongings into my dorm room. Chances are you'll do the same. But wouldn't it be nice if you could magically transport everything into your room? That's where the sponsor of this video comes in, Storage Scholars. Storage Scholars is a shipping and moving service for college students. They have a service called Ship to School, which takes all the hassle out of the moving process. All you have to do is pack up your belongings, ship it to one of their facilities, and they'll ensure everything ends up inside your room for move-in day. And the same goes for your back-to-school purchases. If you buy anything online, like some pillows or a mattress topper, set Storage Scholars as your shipping address, and they'll make sure those also end up in your room. The service feels like magic, plus it's secure. They'll keep you updated with text and email notifications, and they'll send you a picture once they have everything. This means no more packing up your car, lifting up heavy boxes, or carrying them up the stairs. Trust me, moving into a dorm without an elevator is the worst. Ship to School is being offered at over 70 colleges across the United States. Check their website to see if it's offered at yours, and use the link in my description for $25 off. And of course, you're gonna have to do all of this in reverse when you move out. Storage Scholars also has a service where they'll pick up and store everything from your dorm when you go home and have it already in your new room when you return. Seriously, you gotta check these guys out. Thanks again to Storage Scholars for sponsoring this video. Moving on to mistake number 4, skipping classes. This one sounds obvious, but skipping classes, even just once, is a slippery slope. You might tell yourself that you're only skipping 1, but then it becomes easy to skip 2, and then 3, and then 4, and before you know it, you'll have skipped an entire week of lectures and start falling behind. The problem is that most colleges have optional attendance, which is both a blessing and a curse. On the one hand, you can watch lecture recordings from whenever, wherever. But on the other hand, you need to find the discipline to stay on top of those lectures so you don't start falling behind. So what's the solution to that? Simply go to class. I'll never forget this one night in college when I had to watch 4 linear algebra lectures in a row. Shout out to Gilbert Strang, 1806. That night I heard him say the words eigenvalue and eigenvector like 100 times. I've always loved math, but that night I started questioning myself. Also, if you simply go to class, not only will you stay on top of lecture, but you'll also have the opportunity to ask questions in person. And that's just so much easier than having to email a TA a question or having to make time for office hours. Oh, and not to mention, you'll get the chance to connect with your professor, which is pretty beneficial down the line if you want a reference letter for a job or an internship or grad school. And if despite all of this you still struggle to attend lecture, I recommend you get an accountability partner. Get someone who will spam call you or even show up to your door to make sure that you end up going to class. Alright, mistake number 5, overspending. Now, unless you have filthy rich parents, you're gonna have to be really careful with your money in college, especially if you're going to college in the city. Everything's gonna be crazy expensive, so if you don't create a budget or at least track your spending, you're gonna spend way more than you really want to. Look, I'm not saying that you shouldn't have fun in college. If your friends wanna go out to eat one night, you should probably join them. If they wanna order boba after a grueling study session, go for it. I mean, I'll tell you right now, I spent way too much money on brown sugar milk tea. But make sure you're working within your budget, and here's a clever hack that one of my friends used. Even though he came from a pretty well-off family, he made sure that his debit card didn't have more than $100 or $200. So even if he wanted to eat out multiple times in a month, he literally couldn't and had to be way more intentional about his spending. Now, how do you create a budget? A very simple rule to follow is the 50-30-20 rule. 50% of your money should go towards needs. So if you're a student, that could be your tuition, gas money if you commute, school supplies, textbooks, and so on. 30% of your money should go towards wants. Now this can be for dinner, those boba sessions, or even new clothes. And then 20% should go towards savings and investments. Now, chances are if you're a student, you probably don't have to allocate that much money towards needs, in which case I recommend you put more money towards savings and investments. So instead of 50-30-20, it might be 30-30-40. Okay, but I keep saying savings and investments, but how do you actually invest as a student? When I was a sophomore or junior, I started putting money into index funds and have been doing it ever since. Though honestly, I think you should start freshman year to take advantage of something known as compound interest. The idea behind compound interest is that you not only earn interest on whatever you've invested, but also on the interest you've already earned. In other words, the returns become exponential, and the longer and longer you invest, the crazier and crazier the returns get. As an example, let's say you put $50 a month into an index fund that returns on average 8% a year. After 10 years, you'll have invested $6,000 and earned $3,000 in interest. After 20 years, you'll have invested $12,000 and earned $16,000 in interest. Notice how you've earned more in returns than you've actually invested. After 30 years, you'll have invested $18,000, and I want you to guess how much you'll have earned in interest. The answer? Over $50,000. And that's just assuming you keep investing $50 a month for that time period. Obviously, when you get a job, you'll start investing even more, so the potential returns can get kinda crazy. Mistake number 6, this one's important, ignoring family. In those first few weeks after you move into college, I promise you your parents miss you more than anything. But chances are you're probably not thinking about your family as much as they're thinking about you. Now, this doesn't mean you don't care about them. It's just that the first few weeks of college are going to be so jam-packed with courses and events and new experiences that you simply don't have time to reach out. Now, I'm not saying you need to call your parents every single night, but maybe reach out once a week. Send them pictures of what you've been up to, tell them how your classes have been, and let them know if you've met any cool people. Now, this also largely depends on your comfort level. Some students might want more independence when they go to college, so they might not reach out as often. Other students might want to keep their parents in the loop, so they might send 1 or 2 text messages every single day. And honestly, just think about it. It really just takes a few minutes or even a few seconds just to send a text message or to say hello. Now, this wraps up what I think are some of the biggest mistakes students make in college. What do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments. Also, if you need help with school, join my Discord server and newsletter. If you need help with college essays, check out Next Admit. Oh, and let me know what college you're headed to this fall. Thanks for watching, y'all, and I'll see you again next week.